You know someone who forgives too easily. Maybe it's you. Someone says something cruel, breaks a promise, lets them down, and within days, sometimes hours, it's like it never happened. No grudge, no cold shoulder, just back to normal. And you've probably wondered, are they just weak? Are they afraid of conflict? Or is something else going on? A study from Stanford University in 2008 found that people who forgive easily have significantly different brain activation patterns when processing social rejection compared to those who hold grudges. Their anterior cingulate cortex, the part of the brain that processes emotional pain, shows less reactivity. It's not that they don't feel the hurt, it's that their brain literally processes betrayal differently. But here's what most people get wrong. They think easy forgiveness is about being nice, or spiritual, or conflict avoidant. It's not. It's about something much more complicated, and honestly, much more interesting. Because the psychology of people who forgive easily reveals a paradox. What looks like weakness from the outside is often built on a foundation of quiet, unshakable strength. Let's talk about what other people see first, because that's where the judgment lives. When someone forgives easily, the world reads it as surrender, as doormat behavior. You watch them reconcile with someone who hurt them, and you think, they must not respect themselves. They must be desperate for approval. They must not understand their own worth. It looks like they're letting people walk all over them. And sometimes, that's exactly what's happening. We'll get to that later. But most of the time, what you're witnessing isn't weakness. It's a completely different operating system. See, people who hold grudges aren't wrong for doing it. Holding a grudge is a form of self-protection. It's your psyche saying, remember this person, remember what they did, stay alert, don't let it happen again. It's a survival mechanism. It makes total sense. But people who forgive easily, they've solved the same problem differently. A 2011 study from the University of Miami found that individuals with high forgiveness tendencies don't have less boundary awareness. They actually score higher on measures of self-advocacy and assertiveness than chronic grudge holders. They're not ignoring the harm. They're processing it through a different lens entirely. Here's what's actually happening inside their minds. When betrayal occurs, most people experience what psychologists call rumination. Your brain replays the moment over and over. You imagine what you should have said. You build a case against the person. You rehearse the evidence. You tell the story to friends, to yourself, to anyone who'll listen. And every time you replay it, the neural pathway gets stronger. The grudge becomes part of your identity. People who forgive easily short-circuit this loop. Not because they're in denial, but because they've developed what researchers call cognitive flexibility. They can hold two truths at once. Yes, this person hurt me, and this doesn't have to define our entire relationship. Yes, I deserve better, and holding on to anger costs me more than it costs them. It's not that they don't get angry, they do, but anger, for them, is weather. It moves through. It doesn't set up camp. Think about the last time someone cut you off in traffic. For about 10 seconds, you're furious. Then, you forget, because you don't know that person. There's no story there. Easy forgivers, they've somehow learned to apply that same detachment to people they do know, not because those people don't matter, but because the grudge doesn't serve them. The outside world sees this and mistakes it for weakness, because we've been taught that strength means standing your ground, never forgetting, making people pay for what they did. But what if strength is actually the ability to feel the full weight of the hurt, and still choose to put it down? So what enables that choice? What's built into the minds of people who forgive easily that the rest of us might be missing? First, there's what psychologists call low ego investment. And this is going to sound strange, but they don't take things as personally. Not because they don't care, but because they have this quiet, unshakable sense that other people's behavior is about them, not about you. When someone betrays them, their first instinct isn't, what did I do wrong? Or, how dare they do this to me? It's more like, this person is struggling, or they made a choice I wouldn't make. There's distance there, healthy distance. They can separate the action from their identity. A 2016 study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people with secure attachment styles, those who grew up with consistent emotional support, forgive significantly faster than those with anxious or avoidant attachment. Because when you know you're worthy, deep in your bones, betrayal doesn't shatter your self-concept. It's just information about someone else. Second, they have what researchers call temporal discounting. Basically, they're wired to prioritize future peace over present vindication. Most people, when hurt, want justice now. They want the apology, the acknowledgement, the proof that they mattered. And when they don't get it, the wanting turns into bitterness. Easy forgivers skip that negotiation. They've already done the math. Holding on to this anger means carrying it into tomorrow, next week, next year. Letting it go means freedom today. Even if the other person never apologizes, never changes, never understands what they did, the forgiveness isn't for them anyway. Third, and this one's crucial, they have strong internal validation. They don't need the world to agree that they were wronged. They don't need witnesses. They don't need the other person to admit fault. They know what happened. That's enough. Think about someone who needs everyone to take their side after a conflict, who tells the story again and again, gathering allies, building a case. That's external validation. That's, I need other people to confirm my reality. Easy forgivers, their reality is already confirmed. By themselves, for themselves. Carl Jung talked about this actually. He said the self becomes whole, not by eliminating the shadow, but by integrating it. People who forgive easily have integrated the possibility of betrayal into their worldview. They're not shocked when people fail them. They expected it, not in a cynical way, but in a realistic way. Humans are flawed. Disappointment is part of the deal, so when it happens, it doesn't destroy them. And finally, there's something researchers call meaning making. They can extract lessons from pain without needing revenge. They can say, this hurt taught me about boundaries, or showed me who someone really is, or clarified what I actually need. The betrayal becomes data, not identity. But knowing why to forgive and actually doing it, those are two different things. So let's talk about what's happening emotionally that makes the release possible. Here's the thing, nobody tells you. People who forgive easily actually feel their emotions more intensely, not less. They're not numb. They're not in denial. They're not spiritually bypassing. They drop into the pain fully. They let it hit them. And then they let it move. Think of emotions like water. Most people try to dam them up, control them, redirect them, but dams eventually break. Easy forgivers, they've learned to let the river flow. They feel the rage, the betrayal, the humiliation, and they don't resist it. Because resistance is what makes pain stick around. There's a concept in therapy called experiential avoidance. It's when you're so afraid of feeling something that you build your entire life around not feeling it. You distract yourself, you numb out, you stay busy, you hold grudges because at least grudges give you something to do with the pain. They give you a project. People who forgive easily don't avoid the experience. They have the feeling, fully, and because they don't resist it, it passes. Like weather, remember? You don't fight rain, you wait for it to stop. Research from the Greater Good Science Center at Berkeley shows that forgiveness is linked to something called emotional granularity. That's the ability to identify and name specific emotions with precision. Instead of just feeling bad, they can say, I feel betrayed and disappointed and sad about what this means for our relationship and angry at myself for not seeing it coming. That specificity, it actually helps emotions dissolve faster, because once you name something, it loses some of its power over you. There's also this, they've made peace with impermanence, and I mean, really made peace with it. They understand that people change, that relationships end, that nothing stays the same. So when someone hurts them, there's grief, yes, but not shock. Not, this shouldn't be happening. Just, this is happening. The Buddhist concept of dukkha speaks to this. It's often translated as suffering, but it's more like the unsatisfactoriness of clinging. The idea that pain comes not from change itself, but from our desperate attempt to make things permanent. to freeze people in place, to demand they stay who we need them to be. Easy forgivers have loosened that grip, not because they don't care, but because they care enough to let people be fully human, flawed, inconsistent, capable of harm. And here's the emotional truth that makes forgiveness possible. They've learned to grieve the relationship as it was, rather than fight to resurrect it. When someone betrays you, what you're really mourning is the version of them you thought you knew, the trust you thought you had. Easy forgivers let themselves feel that loss. They cry about it, they acknowledge it, and then they decide what comes next based on reality, not fantasy. That's the mechanism. Feel it fully, name it precisely, grieve what's gone, and then choose. But we need to talk about the other version of this story, because not all easy forgiveness is created equal. There are people who forgive easily because they've done the deep work, because they have strong boundaries, because they've chosen peace over chaos. And then there are people who forgive easily because they're terrified of being alone, because they don't think they deserve better, because forgiveness is the only way they know how to keep people close. That's not strength, that's survival mode, dressed up as enlightenment. A study from Case Western Reserve University found that people who forgive chronic boundary violations without requiring behavior change show increased symptoms of anxiety and depression over time. Their forgiveness isn't healing them, it's eroding them. Here's how you tell the difference. Healthy forgiveness comes with consequences. You can forgive someone and not trust them anymore. You can forgive someone and end the relationship. You can forgive someone and require changed behavior before you re-engage. Forgiveness means releasing your anger. It doesn't mean giving them unlimited access to hurt you again. Toxic forgiveness, it's forgiveness without accountability. It's I forgive you, followed immediately by, so everything goes back to normal now, right? It's wiping the slate clean over and over and over, while the same pattern plays out. Different day, same betrayal, same script. This happens a lot with people who grew up in chaotic homes. If you learned early that love means accepting mistreatment, that connection requires self-abandonment, that the only way to keep people is to never hold them accountable, then easy forgiveness isn't a choice. It's a trauma response. It looks like the same behavior. Someone hurts you, you forgive quickly, you move on. But the internal experience is completely different. Healthy forgivers feel peace after they forgive. Toxic forgivers feel dread. Because deep down, they know nothing's changed. They're just resetting the timer until it happens again. And there's this other version too. People who forgive easily not because they're at peace, but because they're afraid of their own anger. They've been taught that anger is dangerous, that boundaries are mean, that standing up for yourself makes you difficult. So they forgive as a way to avoid the discomfort of conflict. That's not forgiveness, that's suppression. And suppressed anger doesn't disappear. It just goes underground. It becomes passive aggression, resentment, physical illness, depression. You think you're being the bigger person, but really, you're just getting smaller. Friedrich Nietzsche warned about this, actually. He talked about slave morality, this idea that powerless people rebrand their powerlessness as virtue. I'm not weak, I'm forgiving. I'm not scared, I'm spiritual. I'm not avoidant, I'm evolved. But underneath, the spiritual language is just fear. Fear of losing someone. Fear of being alone. Fear of your own voice. Real forgiveness requires that you had a voice to begin with, that you could have fought back, set a boundary, walked away, and you chose not to. Choice is the difference between strength and surrender. So if you're someone who forgives easily, ask yourself, am I doing this from wholeness or from wounding? Am I releasing anger that no longer serves me? Or am I swallowing anger because I don't believe I'm allowed to feel it? Am I making space for people to grow? Or am I making excuses for people who have no intention of changing? Because forgiveness without boundaries isn't compassion. It's self-abandonment. And the cruelest betrayal isn't what someone else does to you. It's what you allow them to keep doing while calling it love. So maybe the question isn't whether you forgive easily or not. Maybe it's whether your forgiveness is coming from a place of power or a place of fear, because both will set you free from anger, but only one will set you free from the pattern. If this resonated, I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Do you forgive easily? And if you do, is it strength or survival? And if you want more psychology like this, you know what to do.